Hi chaps, SimOP here from Beard, Biceps and Batchat. Today I'm going to do a review of the ISU-122S. Now don't worry guys, there is some gameplay after I've done a review of me in the tank. This is one that I decided to treat myself to. Please do not tell my missus, she may go mad. Now I've wanted this tank for a little while. There's some really good features on it that I was very excited to try out. So the tank itself is a Russian tier 7 TD premium tank. Now this doesn't have preferential matchmaking, but we'll just run over the tank and just see what it's all about. So the main reason I want this tank is this gun. It is a 122mm D25 common quick firing gun. So essentially this gun is capable of 811 rounds per minute. Now that might not seem too crazy depending on the rest of the stats of the tank, but it works out at roughly 1181 for its DPM. This is one of the best DPMs in the game. It is absolutely insane. Now to give you an idea of how effective this is, it can literally tear apart any tier 7 tank in 30 seconds or just under 30 seconds. Is absolutely insane. Now the reason it manages to do that quick DPM is the ammunition as well. The alpha on this tank is 390 damage per shell and you're shooting 8 shells a minute. It's crazy. The pen works out at 175mm of pen. Now that's good at tier 7. It sort of suffers when it gets up to tier 9. It's not too bad on tier 8, but you've got to start aiming at weak spots or looking to get into flanking positions. But it really can suffer not having preferential matchmaking. If you're in a tier 9 game frontally, it's going to be a very painful game. So the gun has great DPM. There must be some downsides. Of course there is. So the aim time on this gun is 2.9 seconds. That is a long time. Now this is very painful because this tank has a very narrow gun traverse before you've got to start readjusting your hull to track moving targets. Now that coupled with 0.41 dispersion makes it very hard at range to deal with fast moving targets. It can be very problematic, so you really need to think about your the ranges you're engaging at and the positions you're going to take up, because this isn't necessarily a sniping TD. Neither is it a TD with loads of armor, which we'll go on to shortly, that can just sit at the front line taking damage. So there's a little bit of you have to think a bit more when you're playing it. The other problem this tank has got with its ammunition, again tracking targets at distance, is the shell velocity is only 800 meters a second. It is quite a slow shell. So again, aiming at fast moving targets is you're going to struggle. You'll see that in the replay. It's not easy to do. It'll take a lot of practice with this tank. So the armor itself is not fantastic for the tier. The real main bit of protection comes from the gun mantlet, which is 101 to 160mm. The rest of the tank is pretty much anything at tier 7 is going to absolutely just tear through you. So you really need to make sure you're not getting shot at or you're not a priority target. The other problem this tank has is it has a fairly low HP pool. It's got 870 HP in total. It's not great for its tier. It's not bad, but with having next to no armor, it really can be problematic. Again, there's no turret, so there's nothing overly sort of crazy you can do with the tank in that regard. The next thing to look at with this tank is the mobility. Now this tank's got a fairly good top speed of 43 kilometers per hour. The power to weight ratio is 13.12. It can get to about, well, it does get to 43 kilometers per hour in a straight line fairly quickly. So you are able to relocate after dishing out your damage or bullying a tank that has got itself lost in front of you. But it can be a little bit painful if you're trying to traverse or to turn round. So it leaves you fairly vulnerable to flanking manoeuvres. So if a medium catches you at unawares, your traverse isn't great, being able to turn isn't that great, you are pretty much screwed. So my sort of theory behind playing this tank is being able to utilise that DPM as much as possible. You don't want to play this as a sniping TD, you don't want to be a frontline brawling TD as you'd see all the way up to tier 10 with the E4 and E3. Instead, what you're probably going to be looking to do with this tank is to be in a position where you can engage tanks in engagement hotspots on maps. Every map has them, but without being the centre of attention. So more of a support tank that punishes tanks that get caught peekabooming, they've got tracked, you pile 2 or 3 shots into them. So you want to be close to the front lines, but not too close where someone decides to pick you out for a target or someone decides to YOLO you. You also don't want to be too far back because you literally don't have the accuracy, aim time or shell velocity to hit fast moving targets, so it can be a bit of a struggle. But that's my theory craft for how this tank should play. I'm going to show you a replay now of me in El Halouf, and we can see how this tank works, not just in theory. So here we are on El Halouf. I had a quick look at the teams. We are doing team instructions, tier 7 match. So my initial thought was to look to go to the hill on our side along D3, sit at the corner and just pile shots into whatever came around the corner or crossed through the gap. And I sort of decided, once seeing the teams, that potentially that isn't going to be the best way to use this tank. The gun depression on this tank isn't great, I might actually get caught out. So I decided to assume that the red team might be a little bit special. I know I said in my review you shouldn't do this, it's not a sniping tank, but I felt on this map, people play this map the way they shouldn't. They've got heavies sitting on the ridgeline, all kinds of crazy stuff. So I was counting on the red team doing something a little bit ridiculous, like an ISU just sitting on the ridgeline and letting me just pile shots into him. There's the first one, 371 damage. That reload is absolutely insane. The IS-2's panicking. There's the second one. He's reversing up. He's just not getting himself in cover quick enough. We spot the T-29, throw a shot into him. Unfortunately hit his tracks. But again, you can just see that aim time isn't great. The reload's great. The aim time is costing me. I can't take shots without aiming in fully just because of how poor the accuracy is. I obviously go for the scumbag shot on the arty that's got lit up. We take him out. Even at 490 metres straight on. We've got the Panther, what's this, almost 500 metres. The shot lands fairly square, so it's not too bad. He's not doing anything, he's just sat there taking my shots. That's the second kill. We've got the KV-85 out in the open. Again, this is me messing around because I'm not used to how bad the gun depression is on this tank. So we line up the KV-85, throw a shot into him, fire it over. Again, aim time's not great. Memo, aim in fully before we shoot. That's the third kill of the game. We're 2 minutes in. I'm a little bit concerned about that light tank lighting me up, as we see there. There's not a huge amount I can do about him. I'm kind of hoping, there we go, someone takes out for me so I can go back to sniping away. While I'm lit up, there's no point me going back to the left. Tanks will be pre-aimed there, waiting for me to pop up and just to take advantage of me trying to be cheeky. So we go around the other side just to see if any tanks are still crossing over to the engagement point on AB 1, 2, 3. Just wait for the binos to go up. Again, if we don't spot anything, it's fairly safe to say there aren't any of the red team trying to flank around our tanks around that spot. So I very gracefully make my way back to my spot just here. We've got the medium on our left. I'm fairly aware there's nothing I can do. Let's have a little quick check just to see if I've got a lock on the T-43. I'm just waiting for my binos to go up at this point, see if they ping anything else. And we notice this poor cheeky Churchill 8 out in the open. First shot into him. Great shot. Everyone's piling shots into him. This is where it gets painful. We go for the second shot. Fires straight over the right of his tank. Again, that is the poor accuracy on this tank showing up. Go for another shot. Managed to take him out. Again, the velocity, you could see where I was aiming initially on the tank and where it ended up trailing. That's the fourth kill on the tank. We're just waiting for this T-34. Again, the shell velocity is just letting me down. I'm just waiting to power the next shot. There's the 5th kill. I'm getting a bit antsy at that point. I'm thinking I'm on for a Top Gun here. The tank on my right just keeps nudging me every now and again. I've got a feeling he's going to try and troll me. I'll be honest, it did cross my mind a little bit to go behind him and give him a little nudge just so I could get my Top Gun, but I decided against it. I thought, that won't look great. He may report me. I definitely won't enjoy that. So we're just being a little bit patient. I did consider racing across the valley, but I decided against it because I know they sled tanks up there. Again, I'm struggling with that narrow gun traverse. Had to move my tank, get a shot into T-29. If we don't do anything to him, I don't think I'm going to get the kill on him here. Nope. But then we get quite lucky with this AMX AC-46. Get the shot in before everyone else's shot get there, which surprises me, especially with the velocity of these shells. But all in all, we've had a really good game there. I think it really highlights how deadly this tank can be once you get it in the right positions. Potentially, it would have been a better position going to the AB3 hill. But where we were, we managed to take advantage of the best thing about this tank, which is its crazy DPM. And that's led us to have a fairly good game. We've got a Top Gun from it. We've got 2,500 damage, which isn't crazy. But the Top Gun itself, really pleased with that. This was probably my third game with it. Let me know your thoughts on the tank, guys. If you're going to buy it or not, please like and subscribe to the channel.